let's jump into the some rumors and moves that the Falcons can make, and then we can end it from there. One of the things that happened this past week, Jeff, is that there was the deadline to pick up the fifth year options on May 1st, and the Falcons kind of took it to the end of the very close to the deadline to extend Drake London, or to exercise, I should say, his fifth year option. Do you think that an extension is looming, or could he do you think that they're going to try to get him to play under the he's still under his rookie deal, so this year is his last year of the rookie deal. Next year would be the fifth year option. Do you think that they're going to make him play both years without a extension?
I mean, I would be shocked if they didn't have some sort of extension going into next year. I don't think he'll get one this year, but I think, next offseason, especially when they have a lot more cap room to play with, because ultimately doing it now doesn't necessarily open up a whole lot of cap space for them. It might, but I think you'll see one next year when they have a little bit more room and can create some more. And so, I think that I think London wants to be here. I think he's really excited about playing with Penix and the opportunities and the potential. I'm not shocked it took him that long. Most teams, especially since it's right after the draft, right? Like, I mean, it's, there's a lot going on. So, I think he's happy to be here. I'm sure he's happy to have that picked up. I think you have to use this year, though, if you're the Falcons, to figure out who he is. And I don't mean that negatively, right? But like he's definitely had a lot of ebbs and flows in his first 3 years as an NFL wide receiver. There's times where you're like, damn, especially those last 3 games with 9, he looked like a number 1. There are also times where he's looked like a number 3, right? And so, there's definitely been a learning curve for him. There's no doubt he has the potential to be a number 1. But I think the Falcons want to use this year to kind of figure out exactly what kind of number 1 is he, and where's he going to fall on that pay scale. You look at the numbers that wide receivers are making right now. He's not a $40 million a year wide receiver, right? Like, to me, he hasn't done anything to even come close to that number. But as guys get extensions, that next man up, they get to reset the market. And Drake London is not a reset market kind of guy yet. Can he turn into one? He could, but I think he's more in line with kind of what T. Higgins got paid. I think Higgins, you look at his contract, I would argue that Higgins is a 1. I know there are people that feel very differently about that. Matter of fact, I saw a ranking where they had T. Higgins today as the 23rd best wide receiver in the league. And I thought that was fucking up. And they had Drake London number 9, right? Like, to me, I probably would have swapped those if I'm being honest with you. T. Higgins is one of the best of the game of stretching the field. And so for me, we have to see a little bit more from Drake London to figure out kind of where he's going to be on that pay scale. And so I don't think you'll see one here. I think you'll see an extension at the end of the next year going into that 5th year. Obviously, that 5th year will be incorporated into that extension. I just don't see one right now, being imminent.
Yeah, for sure. And T. Higgins being ranked 23, that's criminal, man. He is way better than that. But agreed with you. Like, the only thing that I'm concerned with Atlanta is right now you could potentially lock London in at a deal close to Higgins. If he pops, Jeff, let's say he has an all-pro season, right? Like, he just explodes with 9, because frankly, those last 3 games, he went bananas. Like, if he continues that and does it for a full season, I know he's not a trendsetter, but damn, like, if he has an all-pro season heading into that 5th year, he's going to want that kind of money. He's going to want $40 million. That's what gives me concern.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to doing it both ways, right? And I would even say, who's to say that London would even sign an extension now, right? Like, there may be a part of his camp that says, play out these next 2 years, go into that, go test free agency, see what somebody can give you. There's a lot that goes into that way of thinking. So, it doesn't mean you can offer it. It doesn't mean he's going to sign it. And you could offer him, if you offered him an extension now and he doesn't play up to that, you're kind of where are you at with, what I mean, as a franchise. It's kind of, especially the NFL is so weird when it comes to contracts with guys. And It's obviously not as bad as baseball is, but NFL does not like to overpay. They like to figure out exactly where a guy is, and again, after his first 3 years, it's really hard to peg where Drake London is because you've seen the highs and you've seen the lows and you've seen everything in between. He's definitely not as bad as Kyle Pitts, right? Like we've seen the high of Kyle Pitts, and then we've seen 2 years of lows or 3 years of lows, whatever it's been. He had 1 year of really good play, and then he's had kind of, last year I think he had that 3 or 4 game stretch where he was on pace to have like 1,400 yards as a tight end, which would have been phenomenal for him. But Drake London, to your point, it's one of those things where what do you do? Because there's potentially a catch-22, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Both sides are kind of, but it wouldn't shock me again if both sides were waiting to see how this year plays out to determine what his asking price is going to be. And then for the Falcons, are you going to be willing to pay that asking price? And if he gives you something at the end of the year, closer to that $30 million a year range, you fucking jump at it and sign him and be done with it. If he wants closer to 40, I think that's probably where you start to look into, who else we got, what else is in the draft. Because for me, as of right now, he's not a $40 million a year wide receiver. And to me, he's not even close to it.
No, I would not, even though, from my tone, you guys can probably tell that I'm leaning towards extending him. That's what I would prefer. Not at 40. I would want close to 30. That would be a good deal for Atlanta. But to your point, Jeff, his camp might be telling him, hey, you can get this now, but maybe if you extrapolate those last 3 games of the season and project it into next year, then maybe you could get even more than that. So we'll see what he does. I mean, I'm excited for him. The one that makes me more nervous, and I wasn't planning on bringing this up today, but since we're there, Kyle Pitts, what really freaks me out about him is this guy is probably going to lock in his contract a year, and then I can't imagine us paying him $20 million a year, because he seems like the type of guy that he'll go crazy this year, and then the following year he'll just revert back to what he's been the last 3 years here. So that makes me really nervous.
I just and I just went and looked it up real quick. His last 3 games last year, 352 yards, 2 touchdowns, 22 catches, right? So over 17 games, that's 2,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. That's the potential we see, right? Like with Drake London, that's the potential that we see in him. And so, but can you be consistent and do that for more than just 3 games? And if you can, you're going to get a pretty decent payday. But even if you do that as 1 year, it doesn't mean you're worth 40 million. So it'll be interesting to see. And yeah, Kyle Pitts, I know this is not what fans want to hear, but just trade his ass. If he comes out and he balls out this year, you're not going to give him what he's going to get on the open market, because he's going to get close to $20 million. Some team out there is going to be stupid enough to give him $20 million, $18 million. And the Falcons are never going to do that, right? They know it. We know it. Fans know it. Go ahead and cut bait now. Get something for him other than a comp pick in 2027.
Yeah, maybe trade him for a player that could help now. Maybe get someone like a center or something like that, anything to help right now, because I mean, we want to take advantage of this year too. And I'm happy going into the season without I rather not deal with all of his BS or whatnot. So one other thing, Jeff, and we've been talking about Jalen Ramsey potentially coming in. Have there been any updates on the trade talk with Ramsey, or are things pretty much the same as last week?
So things haven't stopped. Things haven't updated. Things haven't changed. It's still a topic of conversation that is being had. Nothing is over with, though. At this point, I think they want to get their rookie signed. They want to figure out where they are cap wise. I think the other name though is David Andrews is to watch. I think right now there's more of a sense of, hey, we need to get a better center or a different center. I know a lot of people love Nuzul. I know people really love him, which is fine. But It is, and this is the argument that I hated with losing Dahlman, right? Is everybody's like, oh, Newsel was great. He filled in just fine. Do y'all motherfuckers not realize that in 7 games last year, Newsel was the most flagged center, penalized center in the NFL? And he only played 7 games. Only played 7 games. So miss me with that whole he was fine. He was, he filled in great. No, he didn't. He was absolute ass. Like let's call it what it is. And if that's going to be your starting center and there's not going to be any competition at that spot, you're in for a long season. And so for me, you look at David Andrews still out there. He's rehabbing. There's still conversations with him and his people. So I think you're probably more along the lines of signing a guy like that than you are to make a trade right now. But nothing is dead. The Falcons, as we've seen, are continuing to want to better this roster and really try to make a run here over the next year or two. So no, nothing is dead. Nothing has changed. But there is definitely other names on that list that they want to maybe prioritize first.
Yeah, I could see David Andrews for sure being one of those names that they want to prioritize. I mean, I think he's from Georgia. Did he play at UGA?
Yeah, so went to high school, played high school football in Metro Atlanta. Was a walk-on at UGA. Obviously, I don't think he got drafted by the Patriots, but ended up winning that job anyway. So it's a dude who's paid a lot of dues, made a lot of sacrifices. I mean, let's be honest, he can ball too, right? Like that dude. Even now, this was he didn't the whole tenure with the Patriots didn't come to an end because he wanted to retire. It's because he's in his 8th, 9th, 10th season, and he's coming off a shoulder injury, and they wanted to go younger. But as we've seen in past years with the Falcons, getting a washed up center, and I use that term loosely, from somebody else worked out once for the Falcons, and there's no reason that it couldn't work again.
Yeah, and the name that people are referring to, if you can't make that Jeff's referring to, if you can't make the connection, is Alex Mack. Life changed in Atlanta, specifically for Matt Ryan, when Mack was on that offensive line. So let's not forget the first season under Kyle Shanahan. And I get it. It's the first season as an OC. Our offense wasn't doing too hot. Insert Mack. Now you have a real center. I think Peter Kahns might have been our center back then, and he was god awful. He was he was the guy between Mud Duck and Mack. He was so bad, and you put him in, and all of us.
He was an All-American center coming out of Wisconsin too, by the way, right? Like, he was not supposed to be terrible. He was fucking horrific.
2nd round pick too.
Horrific. Yeah.
You know what's even crazy about that, Jeff? He was actually a Falcons fan. So I remember at the time when we drafted him too, I was like, oh my God, we got like a guy that's actually a Falcons fan playing center. This is so cool. I was following him closely, but he was just, and it's such an important position on the line, right? Like, we have a rookie quarterback back there. You had someone like Bowman, who he's not all pro, but he was, helping, identify the protections, the schemes, or whatever. Center plays a big role. You don't want to throw a rookie in there, but having a 10-year vet, a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was Tom Brady's freaking center. Yes, sign me up. Bring him over. Give Newsel some competition. If we're all so high on him, let's see if he can beat out an aging veteran with shoulder issues. If not, then I think potentially if David Andrews is healthy, it could be an upgrade over Dahlman.
Oh, 100%. And here's what I think most fans don't realize. What are the 3 least drafted positions in football? Do you know?
I would guess that center is probably one of them. And are we excluding special teams from this? Obviously.
No.
Okay.
Punters and kickers.
Okay.
Those are the 3 least drafted, right? And the reason for that, though, is if you look across, on average, only 8 centers are drafted every year. And I think it was like 4 this year. I don't think there was that many this year. But on average, it's only 8 centers drafted every year. The center position doesn't turn over often, right? Because when you find an elite one, he usually sticks in the NFL for 10, 12, 15 years. And so those guys don't come available very often. And so when you have an opportunity to go, even if it's at the end of a career like a David Andrews, you go sign him because he's more than likely better than anybody already on your roster, which is why he's been in the NFL for so long at a position that doesn't see a high turnover rate.
It's an absolute no-brainer for me. So I hope
Mhm.
we get that figured out. But I want to let's circle back to the draft, Jeff. Speaking of the Patriots and David Andrews, we traded up in the third round. Now, when we
Yep.
did that, we traded one pick before the Patriots. Were we coming up for Jared Wilson, who is also a center coming out of UGA? So we came up
Yep.
for Wilson, but then just got surprised by the Patriots there.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was told that as the trade was going on, I was told this is for. I literally the text I got was Wilson, so I got really excited. And then Wilson's name was called by the Patriots, and I got like 16 middle finger emojis because that was not the plan. That is not what they expected. And so they came up to get him because they thought he was that was about the time that they thought he would come off the board. They just with the Patriots signing Bradbury, they didn't think they were going to be in the market to draft the center, and so they came up behind the Patriots to go get him, and then that didn't happen. And so your backup plan there was Xavier Watts, which probably works out. I'm not going to say just as well, but it probably works out, in your favor in this case, because again, you got a second round talent late in the third round, and yeah, you have to give up a fifth round next year or whatever it was. But if he plays to his level and he really is Jesse Bates 2.0, that's a hell of a trade. And again, Falcons did some really good things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, they kind of double dipped at safety, which maybe it doesn't provide year one value off the bat, but it's possible that Bowman plays the nickel and Watts plays free safety, so they can both be on the field at the same time.
Two very different type of players, right? And I think that is something that Bowman playing the nickel because he is a ball hawk, right? I think Xavier Watts is a little bit better of a tackler. I think he sees better in the field. Both guys see the ball really well, so you can never have too many of those guys on the field at one time. That's I don't mind would I like a corner? Yes, but I don't mind the Bowman pick. After the Watts pick, I think both of them will bring tremendous value to this team. And again, I think the Falcons did a really good job of identifying really good talent at their spots available.
I'm a really big nerd with like war room stories and stuff when your guy texts you. So I'm going to ask you one more. I don't know if you have context or you could share it, but when the Falcons moved up for Pierce, right? Were they afraid that he was coming off the board soon? Is that why they traded up to 26? Or were they aggressively trying to go? Were they calling everybody that was picking in the 20s?
No, they started calling after pick, I think 22. They were trying to get back into that 23 to 28 range because there were a couple teams that had Pierce and were trying to also climb back into the first round, from what I'm told, to go get Pierce. So there were some teams that were trying to jump back in as well as some teams that were already on the board there that were going to take him. So I think the Falcons did a really good job of listening to what was being told to them. And identifying where teams were kind of going to identify players and where teams were going to, where teams had guys drafted on their draft boards. And so, they tried to get up there 23, 24, 25. They ended up at 26. But they were trying to get through that 25 to 28 range because they really felt like Pierce was going to be gone potentially at 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. And so they wanted to beat it to the punch. And, again, they got another tremendous value that they got by simply swapping first round picks and then giving up a seventh, essentially what they did.
Yeah, yeah. And there were rumors that Howie Roseman was trying to move up in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if that was for Pierce or anybody else?
I don't know. He had just been calling, and he even called the Falcons to try to get pick number 15.
Oh wow.
And yeah. So they were trying to make some moves. But I mean, Rossman is known for doing that, right? Like he's a bulldog, no pun intended, when it comes to identifying guys and trying to make things happen. And so he'd been calling around for a while. So yeah, he called the Falcons. Falcons declined. And especially as Walker started to fall, they started to realize, because you start looking at that draft board, you start looking at what teams need. Walker was not going to make sense for certain. He wasn't going to go to the Colts. They just went that route last year. He wasn't going to play for a certain other team. So, especially as he started to fall, They stopped answering their phone. So
I mean, look, you had it from day one. Number 1A, Walker, 1B, Carter. Not ranking. I don't even mean it like alphabetically that you had Walker over Carter or whatever. Those were the two that the Falcons had as their draft board, as their wish list. Either one, they'd be ecstatic. And we thought he could go as high as 5 to Jacksonville, potentially pairing up the Walker duo. You know, his brother plays for that team, also a former Bulldog. But he slides down to 15. Was Atlanta stunned that he was there at 15, or was this a realistic outcome?
It was not expected. It was not expected. They really, I mean, and you remember a few weeks ago, I talked about how they had thought about trying, they had reached out to the Jets about trading up to 7 to go get him. Right. And so like they really did not think he would make it past pick 10. And the reason they identified 7 was because I really thought the Panthers or New Orleans were going to take him at 8 or 9. So they were trying to beat them to the punch. And so as he starts to fall, like they had to be just, I would assume they had to stop breathing, right? Because you're getting the guy number 1 on your draft board, and now you're seeing him fall to you. They were absolutely ecstatic because they did not expect that to happen, which is why the last 2 weeks I talked about, and again, I will say this, and I did a lot of different interviews, I did a lot of different podcasts. My always answer was Walker's their guy, and the response I always got was, well, he's not going to be there. Who's next? Well, Mikael Williams was number 2. James Pierce was number 3. Like those were their top 3 guys in order, and they would have taken any one of those 3 guys at number 15. Number 4 is kind of where you get sketchy, and they would have traded back because at 4 was Mike Green, and they would not have taken him at pick number 15. They just simply would not have done that.
It's crazy to me that Walker had that slot. I mean, I like what Panthers did getting McMillan, but I mean, in all of my mock drafts and everything, I really thought they were going to take Walker. So I'm addition by subtraction. I'm happy that we don't have to play him twice a year, and it's going to be so fun to see 2 young edge rushers. Yeah, I say it out loud, and I'm still shocked like that we have 2 young edge rushers next year that's going to go chase down Bryce Young, Tyler Shuck, or Derek Carr, whoever the stupid Saints want to start. Like, it's going to be an awesome season.
Agreed. I'm truly excited about it.
Yep. Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up, Jeff, on this week's episode of Flight Path. So we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube. We'll throw this episode up probably sometime tomorrow, but really appreciate your guys' support. We can't do this without you guys. Like it really means a lot to me and Jeff that you guys are always coming out here. Those of you guys in the live chat and everything, like we can't do this without you all. So we're happy that you guys are enjoying the content. If you guys have suggestions, anytime, drop a comment to me and Jeff on X. Ultimately, we want you guys to feel like you're a part of building this up. And one of the coolest things that I enjoyed, Jeff, before we sign off, was when you hosted the X Spaces this past Sunday, and we sort of gave the floor to you guys, and we heard from Falcons fans how they felt about the draft. So we'll do that too. This isn't just about me and Jeff. We want to give if you guys have a passion in doing this, we're in this new internet era where we want to hear from you guys. Get up on X or whatever. You don't have to go on camera. Tell us your thoughts. That part to me was really fun.
Agreed. I appreciate everybody that came in, and there's a couple hundred people who joined us, and that was a lot of fun. And we'll give the floor to as many people as we can. This isn't about us. This is about you guys. And, we're doing this because a lot of people asked us to do a podcast, so we're doing it. Right. And so we appreciate you. We appreciate your support. This thing will grow, and we'll continue to have fun, and we'll continue to be better fans together.
Yep. There we go. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back, I believe, next Saturday. So we're probably going to switch back to Saturday starting next week, but we'll let you guys know the details. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend.